Hi guys, quick update for Bitcoin here. So let's work through the alternate counts to the bullish counts, because the bullish count that we are working is one of multiple interpretations. So if we zoom out, we can work this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the way I'm reading it. Obviously, if that's not the case, then the only alternate to that would be that that's the 5, that's the 3, that's the 4. I don't think this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 of 3, 4 of 3, 5 of 3, then a 4, then a 5, because that gets you to about 2.5 billion. That's just not going to happen. So if this is a 3, so there's only two long-term possible counts, either a 3, 4, 5, which is the way I have it. If not, then this is the top of a 3, and somehow if that's a 1, that's a 2, maybe it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. So that's the long-term count. Now, short-term, if we just take that off, the bullish count is very simply that we have indeed bottomed here, and we are now working an impulsive leg of presumably a wave 5. So that would be a 1, that would be a 2, 3, 4, 5. This count doesn't stop at 30,000. The only way to logically run this count through is to get it to its target, which will be about 80,000. However, there are multiple alternate counts, and one does have to ask, if you have so many alternate counts, how can we be in a bull market? In a bull market, everything goes up in a straight line. So that's just something to think about in the back of your mind. That's a W. That's an X. That gets us towards 2496, 2K, and if it gets really bad, towards this pivot level at 1000. This pivot level at 1000. That would be an extreme bearish count, and currently, technically, we are making lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. The first higher high will only be made after it breaks 11,000. Now, that would be the bearish count, that we never see 14k for a while. We're just going to end up rolling over all the way back down again. Okay, another possible count is that we have a triangle. This would be the wave 4. The triangle started here, A, B, C, D, E. We bounce around here for 6 to 9 months, and then we break higher. That would be one count. The other count is the triangle actually started here. So this would be a larger W, X, Y, and the triangle, rather than starting at 20,000, started at 3,000. So that would be an A, B, C, D, E. And as we know, Bitcoin tends to prefer symmetrical triangles. Sorry, it doesn't make symmetrical triangles. It usually makes ascending or descending triangles. But let's just work this, that it makes a symmetrical triangle. So something like this. So we bounce around here for 6 to 9 months, range bound between, I don't know, 4K and let's say 11K. Then we form a larger X. Then we come back down again to either double bottom at 3K or 2496 and 2K. So that would be the triangle count. The other way to read this is that rather than being a triangle, this is actually a smaller flat. That's an A. We're going to end up rolling over it all the way back down to 3, 4K, then come back up again in a C wave to 10, 11K. That forms a larger X. Then we come down once again to double bottom or 2496 and 2K. That gets you something like this. So that's now, I think, the 6th possible count. And then the other interpretation is this is an A, B, and a C off a larger flat. So we are going to bounce here, maybe make our way all the way back to 20K, double top, or just about break 20,000, maybe 25,000, whatever, form a larger X, then we forming a much bigger flat pattern. So rather than a smaller flat pattern from 3K, 14K, we've got a much larger flat pattern on our hands. So those are all the alternate counts. At the end of the day, in a bull market, there should only be one count. None of us were saying, certainly I was not saying at 3,000 we're going to go to 2K or whatever. I said 20,000, then a 90% correction, which is pretty much what we've had. So there are no doubts in a bull market. The only thing that we know for sure in any market right now is when the Dow starts with a 4, that's the time to call it a day. So where's that long-term count? It's not here. Maybe it's on the other chart. Yeah, so that's the only thing that we know for sure. So what is Bitcoin? What is the price of Bitcoin when the Dow hits 43k or 40k? So that's what we just need to try to understand, because obviously there was only one buyer of Bitcoin at 20,000. So we don't know who that person was, but it's just about people managed to offload their Bitcoin to willing buyers at 20,000. Will there be willing buyers at 80,000 as the Dow hits 40k and then has a near 100% correction? I'm not too sure. Now, short term, if we just go on to the Bitstamp chart, short term, we are coming up to towards Thanksgiving, so a seasonally bullish time for altcoins. So it's certainly not a time to be extra bearish. I have seen a count which is a WX. I think it says something like a WXY. That's my count, that this is a hard low. That could be an X, and that could come back down. That's a very, very valid count. That would go to 6.5k. Certainly if 6.5k breaks down, we're definitely going to go a lot lower, because that's the support zone here and the large volume node. So this area really cannot break down 6.5 because there's no volume here. We're going to immediately test these pivot highs at 4k and then 3k. So 6.5 has to hold. That's one count. Obviously, I did say these lows were in. I mentioned it on my Twitter and to the Facebook group, and we went long on the futures. So that's a 40% move. That's the fourth biggest move in human history on Bitcoin in 2 days. So there are still very big moves to be made, but as we know, the most vertical moves tend to happen in a bear market. So we know that from here, and here. The most vertical moves tend to happen in a bear market. So certainly the price action would suggest we are still in the midst of some kind of sideways ranging market, pseudo bull market, pseudo bear market. There's still a lot of doubt, which is why a lot of people have got different counts, and all of those are valid. Now, as I said, short term, there's no point getting uber bearish here, only because we're about to go into some kind of altcoin season. We would hope. It's gone up all the way to the 50% fib, and now it's come back down again. That's a key level there, 8779 and 8352. The futures gap, you always want to be aiming for two things on the futures gaps. One is the high and one is the close. So the close would be here. Well, the high would be here at 8873. Currently we're trading at 9170. So that would be a white space gap fill, or we come down to test the actual closing price, which would be here. That was the actual close on the futures on that day. So that would be at 8655, and obviously if we correct further than that, we have this large volume node action coming in at 8200. And if you just take our basic Fibonacci's, well, there's your 50, there's your 61.8. So those would be your three targets: the top of the gap, the closing price of the gap, and then the large volume node plus or minus 61.8 at 8200. And then if we are running this as an impulsive leg, then technically that should be the new 1. That should be the 2, and then we're going to get some kind of 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe it ends up becoming a very complicated pattern whereby it's not impulsive, it's just part of a larger correction. So these counts are now getting very, very complicated, and I don't think anyone can say with a very high degree of confidence that this is definitely a wave too low. I refuse to believe anyone can just say 100% certainty or anywhere near that this is a low and we're going to go higher. As far as I'm concerned, there's a 50-50 chance of us seeing 20,000 or 2,000, whichever comes first. There's a 50-50 chance, and I don't sit on the fence as people who have been watching my videos for the last 2 years. And if I'm having some doubt on the long-term count, I think a lot of other people are. You cannot say for 100% certainty this is going to happen, but for what it's worth, we have to approach this market now on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis. Everything is a 2-day to 6-week trade. The market are just too volatile. Like I said, the only thing that I know for certain is the Dow is going to go to 40,000, and that's the only real. Let's have a quick look at the stock market actually while we're here. So this is a good holding pattern. S&P 500, that should go to 4,000. I think my target is 4209. I believe my target was 4209, and the Nasdaq should get us to 12,000 on the Nasdaq 100. Nasdaq 100. Yeah, that should that should go to about 12,000. So the only thing we are sure of is there is a wave 5 going on across the board. And if you look at things like Apple, so we've been bullish on this the entire year. We were calling for the lows here in the group, well over 11 months ago now. Apple's going to go to 400, so that's quite a good shout. Tesla, we were very bullish on early on as well. We're calling these lows, massive short squeeze going on, probably ends up going all the way to its target at 619. So there are definitely stocks out there to go after if you're more long-term orientated. But as regards to Bitcoin, it's really a 2-day to 6-week market. I don't think anyone can say with any degree of certainty what is exactly going to play out over the next 6 weeks. I mean, this could easily just be an X wave, as quite a few have mentioned, and it could easily just end up rolling back over, maybe do a false break of 6.5, trap everyone, then go back up again, trap everyone back up, and then bring it back down again. There are so many counts, as I've shown on the other chart. So whilst we're here, we'll have a quick look at a couple of coins. So XRP is very, very interesting. This we've been calling these lows for quite some time. So typically when you're in this ranging balancing area, price has a tendency, if it breaks the low, it often wants to break the highs. So it might not get as high as 0.76, but I think there's a good chance it eventually tags this high at 0.5 and forms some kind of flat correction. And if it goes past here, yes, it'll go to 0.76 before it then rolls over. So I'm running XRP as just a huge flat pattern, basically. I don't think it's going to go all the way to $3.2. I can't see that happening, but it definitely has a chance to get to at least 0.5. And ETH USD, well, this is very much dependent now on what Bitcoin does and what the ETH BTC does. So if Bitcoin fills the gap on the futures, maybe goes as low as 8,200, then goes towards 11,000. ETH BTC, we've been calling that in the group for the last couple of months that it has bottomed quite a while ago. There's a good chance this could see a move towards 248, 267. As for these higher targets, these much higher targets of 836 and 1405 is way too soon to be projecting any of that. All you can do is trade this market in the next 6 weeks. What's going to happen, and that's the way we're looking at that. And finally, Bitcoin dominance chart. This is very interesting, something that we've mentioned for quite a while now, that there is an apparent correction, large correction coming in the Bitcoin dominance, which would presumably lead to an altcoin season similar to what we've had here, because we had a 1, 2, 3 sideways triangle type 4, and now a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're of the opinion that there is a chance there's one more push up in this dominance followed by a large correction, which could possibly, I use the word possibly here, come alongside some kind of mediocre / I don't know, temporary, whatever you want to call it, altcoin season. As you can see, there's a large volume gap here. So if that corrects, if it makes a new high to, let's say, 75, there's a good chance we correct all the way back down to 58, which on the dominance would provide a very bullish outlook, certainly short term at least, for the altcoins. And so far it seems to be doing the trick. It wants to go higher, and as you can see here on the oscillators, MFI is diverging somewhat and the RSI is starting to diverge. If we make a new high, there will definitely be divergence here between the last high and obviously this high here. So a new high would create that divergence, and this dotted line, 25th of November, is Fibonacci time that I had worked out all the way back here. It tells me something is going to happen around Thanksgiving. In the last week of November, something is definitely going to be happening. And those are your targets. There's your 61.8, 74.65. That's a key level from here. There's obviously stops sitting, well, theoretical stops. Obviously you can't trade this, so there are theoretical stops sitting above here at 77.6 and 80 point. I'm not sure it gets as high as 80, but somewhere around this yellow box, any new high above here you want to be watching this chart very, very carefully over the next 4 to 8 weeks between now and the end of the year, because at any time we could break this ascending channel. Suddenly we've got a big altcoin season on our hands. So like I said, it's not really the best time of the year to be getting uber bearish. I'm just here to give you guys all the alternate accounts, and you can interpret the charts however way you like. But those are your accounts. That's my take. Let's see what happens.